Alright, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel and welcome to the week. Welcome to Monday. So, I think first of all, I wanted to point at this. Okay, this disclaimer, I've made this thing into a meme. Most of you have noticed I've just been increasing the speed every single day. But at the end of the day, it does have to be a disclaimer, right? It is a legal requirement by the FCA for me to have one in there. So I think I'm just letting you know, right? We're terminating the meme where this thing continues to speed up. Today was played at 16x, and obviously it's hard to actually make a legitimate disclaimer when it's 16 times fast forwarded. So going forward, I think this meme is done now. This meme is dead. We may bring it back later in the year, perhaps, but for now at least, expect to have a roughly 10-second disclaimer at the start of all the videos. Over the weekend, my Twitter was blowing up. As you know, if you've been following me for any length of time, I have been brushing off the idea of World War III. And then all of a sudden, we saw some conflicts, some drones being fired in one direction or the other. And Twitter had an absolute meltdown. Okay, we saw some liquidations in Bitcoin and crypto. We're going to cover those in a minute. Lots of people were all over my Twitter to say, do you want to revise your stance? Are you still laughing now? And then a mere hours later, a few hours later, Iran has concluded its military action, right? The thing is done. It was done as, it was over as quickly as it begun, right? And I've never seen a FUD campaign that was so severe yet so short-lived. I've never seen one last just a few hours like that. So as you can see from here, right, you know, this is well and truly over, right? It is well and truly over for now, at least. That does not, of course, mean that it is not coming back. But for now, at least, this is done. So in amongst all the fear, uncertainty, the doubt, the panic, it's always nice to have a little bit of context, right? And if I pull up this chart and leave it here for you to have a quick read of, a quick peruse, you will notice, okay, that typically speaking, war unfortunately is bullish, and the entire Tel Aviv stock exchange opens higher after after Iran's strike on Israel, okay? So, I mean, read into it what you want, okay? At the end of the day, unfortunately, this is just the world we live in. This world is going to continue to get more and more wild. This year is going to continue to get more and more wild. That's the only thing I am sure of. And Cred was quick to point this out as well. Like, if you go back and look at the day Russia invaded Ukraine on the chart and then tell me what you see, right? Hint, it marked the bottom. We rallied 40%, which was not broken for another 4 months. So, you know, typically speaking, you do want to listen to Cred here because this is fantastic advice. Stop focusing on the narratives. Every dip has its narrative. Anyone that has been viewing my channel, even on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis, let alone daily, would have been well aware that we were due cycle lows, we were due pullbacks right in this timing window, we were due a half cycle low for Bitcoin. When I show you the Bitcoin chart, it's going to blow your mind, right? Not for a lot of people, but if you are one of these people that was panicking, if you were one of these people that was being toxic, if you were one of these people that was on Twitter going, oh, I told you World War III is breaking out, blah, blah, blah. Well, this chart is going to blow your mind when I get to this Bitcoin fractal in just a second. You really must stop focusing on the narratives. Every dip has its narrative. If you just maintain an objective view of the charts, you will be able to stay on top of these markets. And as I was saying, you know, my Twitter was blowing up with people that just seemingly want to say I told you so because World War III is starting. And I'm here to tell you again, okay? It's not happening. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I know some of you seem to just want it to happen just so you can say I told you so. But the reality is, it's not happening. In a few weeks, this energy will have been fully harvested and ready to use later in the year in July and August. I'm going to explain this in a second. But no, it's not going to be used for World War III. The next step is anti-climax. So what do these 4 steps look like? For anyone that's interested, I know a bunch of you this is going to fall on deaf ears. A bunch of you are going to be like, oh my gosh, he woke up, he smoked crack this morning, and now he's talking all this nonsense. That's fine. It's not for you, okay? But for those of you that are interested, here's how it works. Step 1, they harvest the energy, okay? They create this event like we saw over the weekend. They make everyone be really scared. They make everyone give their fear. They make a lot of people infight. And all of that energy you can think of as going up into a cloud to be stored for use at a later date, okay? So this may be complete, and I think we've probably moved on to anti-climax. As you can see, this thing is already over. Now, it's entirely possible that they haven't got enough energy up here harvested, and they need to come back, right? So maybe we see a retaliation, it reignites fears. Oh no, they said they weren't going to retaliate. Now they are retaliating, okay? Bit more energy gets harvested, added to this cloud up here, and then we go to anti-climax. But either way, we all know what an anti-climax is. And we all know that since the energy was being harvested for World War III, anti-climax would be a clear sign that we are not going into World War III. So once we've made it to anti-climax, step 3 is misdirection. This is also like a relaxation and a lull period, okay? What this says is that once we get to misdirection and relaxation, what we will see is good times, okay? all of this, the way this works is good times have to be coming next. This is how this works. They harvest the energy, they deliver an anticlimax, and then whilst everyone is misdirected towards positivity because of the dualistic nature of the world in which we live, good times have to come, which causes everyone to relax, okay? Only when everyone is relaxed do we then see the redirection of the pre-harvested energy into something that is actually severe. Because everyone is relaxed, it will catch everyone off guard. I speculate it's going to be right in the middle of the Olympics. That makes perfect sense to me because there's going to be a lot of eyes on that event. They're going to be able to manipulate the collective's ideas using the opening ceremony. And like I said, all of this energy that's harvested is ultimately not for today. It's not for next week. Like I said, we're going to have anticlimax. We've got to redirect, make everyone relax, make everyone forget, and then we hit them with that harvested energy injection. This is how life works, okay? This is how the elites play the game. This is the kind of knowledge that you gain at the much higher levels of Freemasonry. Again, it's up to you, right? Take this information as you will. Maybe I did hit the crack pipe this morning for breakfast. Maybe you don't know, okay? You don't know whether I did or not. But also maybe this is exactly how I'm so confident and able to sit here and tell you for sure that we are not going to see World War III. It is not in their playbook. And if you gave your energy to this, then congratulations, you contributed to what is coming later in the year during the Olympics. Around July and August, I do expect increased violence. I do expect state-sponsored violence, but I do not expect World War III. It is simply not in their playbook. So if you've made it this far, okay, then welcome to the week. Welcome to Monday. Maybe I'm right, and maybe I'm not. Maybe I am completely wrong. One thing we know for sure is we're going to get into the future. In a few months' time, it's going to be July and August, and we're either going to be able to come back here and say, oh, okay, maybe it wasn't the morning crack pipe, okay? Or we get here, and unfortunately, we're going to have to deal with the consequences of that during the Olympics. But whether you believe me or not, the biggest truth you can take from here is that the more fear and energy you give to World War III, which I'm telling you is not happening, the more energy you are wasting, the more attention you are diverting from the things you need to put your attention on in life. You need to put your attention on the things you want to manifest in your world. If your attention is on World War III, okay, and that is certainly not going to happen, then you're just wasting all of your time and energy. Life is better when you live fearlessly. So, with my morning crack pipe routine rant out the way, let's take a look at some charts, okay? Because it was written, as Tony the Bull pointed out, I showed this earlier in the week, last week, I showed that we were looking at possibly seeing that E wave put in, A, B, C, D, E, and that Tony had been pointing out multiple times that the E wave often violates the triangle, causing panic before then a snapback and a resumption to the upside. Henrik was also amongst one of these people that called this move correct. He was looking for the 5 waves down into around 59, 60k, and of course, that is more or less what we have seen now. Nesty, as I often show as well, the king of fractals, in my humble opinion. You can see we've got this, right? This Bart Simpson. Up we go. Bit of this. Triangle. And then off. Okay, just like we did on this occasion and this occasion. So it tells us to keep an open mind if history is to repeat, to see that A, B, C, D, E that Tony was pointing out come in, to see us snap higher. So are you ready for wave 5? Is this a possibility? I know most people are going to say no, there's no way this is a possibility. But did you know Hong Kong, okay, likely caused this entire dip in Bitcoin? It was likely nothing to do with the war. It's likely nothing to do with Iran or Israel. It was likely entirely to do with the fact these big boys have just approved, as of today, their spot Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF applications. So was that probably a shakeout, okay, to let some big boys in early ahead of the curve? And is this new ETF money going to launch Bitcoin into that 5th wave higher? And if you think this is too extreme, then I tend to agree with you, to be completely honest. But some very, very nice charts here from Tony again, right? This is Bitcoin with the 1 month candles on the 1 month Bollinger Bands. Notice, okay, this entire shakeout and liquidation cascade still holding above. After all is said and done, it's still holding above the monthly Bollinger Bands, okay? Telling us to keep an open mind about higher prices walking forward. And, like I was saying, even if you think this is too extreme, have a look at this, because this, to me, seems pretty reasonable. In fact, this, to me, seems right around what I have been calling for the entire time, right? This would be our left translated cycle. Notice the time frame as well. Let me get a straight line, actually. If I put this as close as I can to July, try to get this as vertical as possible, would this not be that left translated cycle top? Would this not fit my narrative of that melt up in the stock market? And would that also not fit the narrative of seeing increased violence, social unrest, all of that kind of nasty stuff start to pick up into July and August? Would this whole thing not make perfect sense? I think it does. I think it makes perfect sense. I think we've probably had the A, B, C, D, E. I think we're probably going to be looking to, in the worst case scenario, put in another month of consolidation cycle before this starts. And in the best case scenario, we are probably about to Dalai Lama our way out of here and begin a 5-wave pattern upwards. For the hodlers, okay, for the long-term holders, there is still no second best. Performance since August 10th, 2020, when MicroStrategy adopted its Bitcoin strategy, Bitcoin continues to smoke every other asset class. And then two kind of semi-random slides before we move into some charts, okay? Notice the mortgage applications to buy a house crashing at the hard right edge. This, again, all is starting to suggest to me that the end is not too far away for this current bull run. Yes, I think we go higher in terms of prices, I've been saying, but in terms of time, I think it's going to start to get very explosive to the upside and then very explosive to the downside. And speaking of explosive, we saw a nuclear explosion of short-term paper dumped on gold and silver before Friday's close. We're seeing all this kind of speculation come in. They cannot allow Friday $30 silver and $24.50 gold closes, or all hell breaks loose in the bonds and the dollar next week. And to that, I simply say, is it, or is it just a pullback into cycle lows, right? Have we really been on top of this move the entire time? I would say, yes, we have. Okay, for now, dollar still breaking out, not much change there. I'm going to do Bitcoin last because Bitcoin, you're going to love Bitcoin. Gold, look, we're getting in that timing window to see a pullback into a cycle low. Is it really that this is all some, conspiracy to keep silver under $30 and everything, gold under $24.50? Or are we just going to get a pullback into a cycle low like we've been expecting since the last cycle low, followed by another leg higher? Okay, same with the stock market. Oh no, like everything's going to crash, right? World War III is breaking out, blah, blah, blah. Well, is this not just a pullback into a daily and weekly cycle low? Is this not what we've been expecting the whole time? Are the futures suggesting that, we're going to gap down, limit down, right? Plunge protection team needed? No, okay, it doesn't look like that. It looks like exactly what you'd expect to see out of a cycle low. And so, of course, the big question is, well, what about Bitcoin? Okay, and to that I say, what about it? Look at this consolidation fractal, okay? to the tick, okay? Like, if I move this out the way so we can see what really happened, because when I zoom in, as I keep saying over and over and over again, okay, until we take out that cycle low, then we've still got a valid cycle. Now, I know on some exchanges that have thinner order books and more susceptibility to liquidation cascades, yes, we saw that low swept. But on the ones with the bigger books, okay, it didn't even breach the low. So is this not just continuing to do Bitcoin things? Is this not just continuing to play out exactly as expected? Are we not just doing something like this for now? You'll also notice, right, those of you that are paying attention, when I took this trade publicly, I deliberately had a wide stop. Why? Because we knew there was a high susceptibility to seeing this sideways consolidation. We knew there was a high likelihood that they would try and sweep this low. And thus, I wanted to get my stop out the way. I wanted to have a slightly smaller position with a much wider stop. And the reason I can do that is because it should keep me in the trade in case we had one of these consolidation cycles. So far, really hard for me to say anything is out of the ordinary here. Okay? So, as you can tell, cycles continuing to be overpowered, cycles continuing to provide a massive edge. The one last thing I wanted to cover in terms of charts was XRP, and I'm mostly speaking to the members here. So I had this first position. I'll move this one out of the way just so you can see. This was the first position. It was taken out on this big liquidation flush, but I personally don't believe the liquidation flush. Now, this is not something I would normally do, but I decided, and I've let the members know about this ahead of time, that I'm just going to add this position back, right? So I added the position back. And I believe this is just going to be that final shakeout before we get some Dalai Lama and off we go. So it's not something I get in the habit of doing. But personally for me, like I don't really believe that that is organic price action. I think that's just taking all the leverage. And now what comes next is a big run to the upside. So anyway, this is my new position. As you can see, here's a stop loss at 39 cents. And I'm targeting way higher up, as I was talking about in the members. There's also another altcoin, okay, that had similar price action that I, like I said, are continuing to DCA into. For the members, hopefully that clears that up. You can cross-reference this piece of footage with what I wrote in the community tab for members. And hopefully that will make sense. If not, let me know. And so I think I took it to a pretty weird place today. Hopefully you found some value. Hopefully you found it entertaining. Type crack pipe camel in the comments if if you want to. What? I don't know, man. Have a great week. All right. I'll be back tomorrow as always. And I love you all. Bye.